Welcome to the Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers and its monthly author showcase. I am your host, Peter Stockwell. Author Scotti is visiting with us this month at the Bremerton Kitsap Access Television Studios. Scotti and I met when I became a member of the Mystery Writers of America. She is a member of the board of the Northwest chapter of MWA. Scotti collects stories which delve into the mysteries of life. She also writes steamy romances under the pen name Elise Covert. Welcome to our broadcast for Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Glad to have you. Mysteries are fascinating to many people, including me. Please tell us about the West Coast crime wave and your short story, Blind Date.
Yeah, well, West Coast Crime Wave is an anthology of crime stories set on the West Coast, up and down the West Coast. And my story, Blind Date, was accepted for that. And that story actually came out of a very disturbing incident back in the 90s where a mentally disturbed man stabbed a guy to death right outside of Mariners Field. Maybe it's the Kingdom back then, and killed him. And I had kind of almost a reaction after that of everywhere I went in public, I would look around, sitting and drinking a coffee at Starbucks with which person is it in the room holding the knife. And so Blind Date really came out of that, about random violence, and the story is about a woman who witnesses a man killing another woman in public, at the same time realizing that the man had mistaken this other woman for her. So she's kind of watching her own murder. So that came out of that.
Oh, I tell you, your mind is good as warped as mine.
Yes.
Oof.
Well, that's part of writing, is exploring. I had this fear in me, and exploring that fear and putting it on the page in a succinct story kind of helped deal with that fear, I think.
Using the pen name Elise Covert, you write romance novels. Mm-hmm. Why the pen name, and how hot are your romantic encounters?
Well, the pen name came about because I already had a series of stories that were very much dark horror thrillers. And so the romances were a lot more fun and in the romance genre. So to me, it almost seemed like two different brands of one business. Mm-hmm. Also, the name Scotti Andrews I share with a hardcore porn star. So that was already known amongst a lot of horror and mystery editors and stuff. So it was all kind of getting kind of complicated. So I decided to go off with a pen name and just treat it as two different brands.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Writers are told to write what they know. Have you engaged in in-depth research to write about these romantic lives of your characters? Or do you leave that to Elise Covert to do?
It would be interesting if I said that Elise did all that, didn't I? And I didn't. But no, I actually don't subscribe to the writers write what you know. I have written about characters who stab and bludgeon people to death. I've written about vampires and ghosts. I've written very hot, steamy romantic encounters, and I am not going to ever say publicly which of those I may have experienced and which I may not have experienced, because that would ruin the fun.
Not like the lady who wrote a book about her husband's death.
I loved that. Yeah,
and
the one
she
in
had
Oregon,
actually
yes.
done the murder?
Yeah, she had written the book beforehand.
Well, she wrote the book before.
And then she actually did kill her husband.
Yeah.
So that to me seemed like red flags going up all over. That was poor planning.
And I heard about some other guy who wrote 3 novels about deaths of people.
Yes.
And the police, somehow they got a hold of these stories and they matched cases. And they found out, yes, he had actually committed the murders first.
Yeah.
And wrote books about them.
You got to keep it up here.
Yeah.
Keep it out of the hand and up here.
Yeah. People ask me when I'm out marketing books, are your books for real? I says, well, as real as my head makes up.
Yeah.
Because, yes, I don't want it to be actual truth that I have engaged.
No, and the romantic books, they have a lot of steamy sex scenes, but it really is more exploring the emotions, which I think, especially when you're newly falling in love with somebody, all those really strong emotions that come out is what's I like reading about.
Have you enjoyed the challenge of becoming a better known writer of books, and how do you market them?
Good question. It has been a huge learning curve for me. The horror and mystery short stories I've done have always been in anthologies or e-magazines where I wasn't actively marketing them, whereas the romances I've self-published, and so that learning curve was really steep, really fast. And I just went to conferences, I listened to people, I listened to their marketing techniques, I did a lot of research online of what other authors were doing, and then I just tried to be as efficient as I could. You can't do everything, you can't scattershot stuff, you kind of need to pick what you think is going to be the best or the best value for your money at this point in your career. But I also have kept in mind that I'm still stocking my store. So I have 5 books now published as Elise Covert, so my store is starting to get stocked, but I was not going to spend a lot of time and money on marketing on one book. I wanted there to be a backlist of, you know, like I said, stocking a store. You don't put one item in the window of your store and then start paying for a lot of advertising. You wait till there's full inventory.
Have you found that word of mouth brings people back to say, where's your next book?
Yes, and I am always so happy when I get that, where's your next book? I've been waiting, because people will read it in a week, and it takes me, you know, at minimum 6 months to get something out. And so I always like hearing that, and I like hearing it from people I don't even know who I realize have bought a book. I think on Amazon, when these books went on sale, and I started getting my first sales in places like Japan and India.
Isn't that fun?
Wow, wow.
That's a lot of fun. Well,
yeah.
Then can we declare ourselves internationally known authors?
How about just internationally sold authors? I don't know how well I'm known, but yes.
Yeah, becoming a writer was a big change from my previous job as a middle school teacher. What do you do while you're pursuing this writing and becoming a best-known author?
I was a nonprofit executive for a lot of years, and I'm still involved in a lot of nonprofits. And then I've been a mom too the last 15 years or so. And so that's kept me really busy. And it was about 5 years ago that I finally found the time to treat myself as a professional writer instead of a hobby writer. And so I was able to start devoting more time. And then it was 2 years ago that I started publishing, self-publishing these books. So, so as I get more out of the momhood and can construct my time a little more about me, then I have more time to act like I'm a professional writer.
Well, we've got books published. We must be professional writers.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't do this for lucrative amounts of money. That we do have an acquaintance who's done quite well in the last couple of years
Yes.
because of his marketing. But the marketing is not an easy task.
No.
It's a lot of work.
And what works for one writer might not necessarily work for the next writer. And the market is changing so quickly. It's like, I think, keeping up with the social media market, all these industries that are changing so quickly as far as marketing. It can be very hard to keep up, and my advice, and for myself, is just to keep trying to do my best and pay attention to new things that people are doing.
Well, and then there are many sites that are popping up on the internet that will help you with marketing.
And be careful.
For a price.
Yes.
Yes, and it's all about being careful, because some of them are not as forthright.
I would never take up on it with a company that I'd only met online. I would definitely do referrals from other authors who had already used them.
Yeah.
And that's what I did with cover art and editing and things like that for all of my books, is I always used referrals from other people.
Very good. Well, becoming a writer means that we become involved with our characters.
Yes.
So, have you felt that pull from your characters, which leads you away from your basic understanding of where your story is headed? Do they take over?
No.
Good for you to keep them under control.
Firmly in check. Very strict with my characters. I will say, I kind of, when it gets into the pantser and plotter thing, I'm kind of both, in that I have an overall idea of where the book's going to start, what the arc is in the middle, and where the book's going to end. And then I start writing, and I kind of do 3 chapters at a time, or about the length of 3 chapters. And quite often, as I'm writing those 3 chapters, I'll get off on a tangent and know I need to kind of think again. So I kind of have an idea but follow it loosely. But it's not usually the characters talking to me, it's it's those voices in my head. It's those characters.
Aren't they the same?
No,
They're
no,
not?
I have a whole other set up here.
Well, see, I have a set of characters in my head, and they keep telling me what to write.
Yeah.
And every so often, a storyline pops out of one of my books, and so I'll say, okay, well, let's explore that. It doesn't necessarily stay in the story, but
Yes.
I do explore it because these are real people.
Yeah. Yes, well, they are very real to us, and to the people who enjoy the books and
Correct.
read them. Yeah.
Who publishes your books?
These
You
books,
mentioned
like
yours.
I said, or me.
How do you do that? Because I know how I do it.
Well, let's see. You write the book. You rewrite the book. You copy edit your own book. Then you let somebody trusted read it, and then you send it to an editor, and then they tell you what is crap about it and what isn't, and then you try and do your best again and send it to another editor for final polishing. You have to hire a cover artist who knows what they're doing because they have to do all kinds of different formats, and then you can either use a company to upload it all for you to the different platforms, Amazon, Barnes & Noble,
You're talking about the
Smashwords.
e-books.
Yes.
Right.
Well, no, and Create Space and all the print ones too. And, or you can try and do it yourself. And with my first 2 books in this series, I did it myself, and it was such a huge time suck as far as learning about it that I would definitely recommend, if at all affordable, to pay somebody else to do it while you're writing the next book. Because I spent a lot of hours Googling, I don't understand how to upload to Amazon. And they give you directions, but it's not my forte. So I think in the future, if I can afford it, I would pay one of the services to do it for me.
And I understand that.
I want to write. I don't want to learn how to upload things.
I'm just a curious person, so I have learned how to do all that. And it's okay.
Yeah.
What obstacles did you overcome to get into the bookstores, into the libraries?
I have not pursued getting into libraries for the same reason. I wanted to have a good backlist of books. I have this series, I have 1 more book in this series to do, and 2 more books in my Renegades romance series to do. And then I was going to really kind of invest my time and energy into marketing my store, my products. So I haven't tried too much in different niches like libraries. Some of the bookstores I've done bookstores at writing conferences, and they've always been very easy to work with. So I can't say I'm too familiar with that stuff yet. As far as selling online, it's been nice and steady, and I get that done.
It's nice to get that little paycheck every month.
Yes,
Yeah.
see that little ding from Amazon that comes in, and Barnes & Noble, and yeah.
Every so often. I get mine from Ingram, too.
Yeah.
Because I use Ingram Spark.
Yes.
And so whenever my books are ordered by a bookstore,
yes, it goes through that.
Ingram.
Yes.
Goes through Ingram. As a member of the board for the Northwest chapter of the Mystery Writers of America, explain the importance of being part of this kind of group. It doesn't necessarily have to be that we are talking about just mystery writers, but being a member of a group like that.
Well, I'm also a member of Romance Writers of America, and like I said, I was an executive in the nonprofit world. So from the time I was in my early 20s, working with nonprofits, I saw firsthand how people in an industry or profession will give back their time and their money and their expertise. And I really believe in that. I think it's really good karma. I have been helped so much by authors I've met at the Romance Writers, at Mystery Writers, and other organizations who have given me advice and encouragement. And I don't just feel it's my duty to pay it forward. I really enjoy that. I have to say that the dues I've paid to these organizations, what I've received in return way outweighs the money that I've spent.
That's kind of what I feel like too, because I paid dues to several organizations, and what I get back is a lot more than what I've paid.
Friendship and
well, just the
encouragement and the connections, yes.
Connections.
Yes.
Well, if a book club or other organization wanted to invite you to speak, do you do that?
I love to have a microphone.
Well, here we are. How do they contact you?
Well, you can contact me on my Facebook page. I have an Elise Covert author page. I also have a Scotti Andrews on my personal page, and I welcome anybody who wants to contact me on there. And but I also do live readings at Noir at the Bar in Seattle, which is at the Sorrento Hotel, and they're quarterly, but I do them about once or twice a year. And I love doing readings. I love to stand up there with a microphone and not just mumble my way through the story, but really feel my way through the story and express it. So I really enjoy meeting with people and talking with people. And it's one of the best parts, I think, of writing and putting out books is meeting people who have read them or other writers who have written their own books. So I'm happy to hear from anybody, and if anybody would like me to come to a book club or an event or a reading, I am so up for it. I love it.
Well, we just ran all that information above your head.
Yeah, my home address.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if we go that far, but no, we did. We just ran it up there. So what's coming up? You were talking about finishing a series with your Elise Covert, and then the Renegades?
Yep, Renegades is my, it's a novella series, and there will be 5 of them. 3 of them are published right now on Amazon. And that is a kind of a romance between a backwoods outlaw and a young woman just out of college who works in international finance, and how their paths cross and leave and cross and leave through these various books. And so that's a lot of fun to write, and there's a lot of humor in that, and a lot of fun observations about humanity and who we are. And then in this series, in the Circle series, which is a lot darker and exploring kind of some of the darker themes of romance, some of the fear and anxiety about romance, I have another book that I'll be doing in that one. And hopefully the 2 Renegade books will be done by the end of the year and published in the first part of next year. Circles comes after that, and then I have plotted a paranormal, a romantic suspense, sorry, not paranormal, romantic suspense book. And we'll be working on that. So that's all coming up. So I'm trying to fuse my 2 worlds more and more, the dark, scary stuff and the romance. And I read a very interesting essay recently about how those aren't 2 entirely separate things. They're the different sides of the same coin, because they deal with the 2 most basic human urges, staying alive and hooking up.
Those are pretty basic.
It's staying alive and the survival of the species. Yeah. And everything else, mysteries are about curiosity, which is higher level thought. There's science fiction. There's all these other genres that deal with higher level thoughts. But to me, it's really interesting to play in those 2 more baser instincts.
Yeah, well, very good.
Yeah.
We writers all begin with that first word and that first sentence, and then we construct and we continue until we have a manuscript.
Yes.
Do you have advice for a writer, say a new writer of nonfiction or fiction, just starting out in this business of, and it is a business.
It is. Well,
I think we need to warn all of you out there, this is a business.
I think that is one of the key things. You know, there's all the standard writing advice is read a lot, know your books, write a lot, and share your writing. And that's all very good advice, but I think one of the most important things for me is deciding at some point, is this going to be a hobby? And there's nothing wrong if you want to be a writer as a hobby, to kind of explore your emotions or put some things down on paper, or if you're going to be a business. And if you want to publish, and you want to publish multiple books, and you want to publish in different places, you better treat yourself like a professional. And when the outside world starts creeping in saying, oh, but you need to do this, you need to do this, and you think, I have to put the writing aside. No, I have a part-time job, and from 8 until 12 every day I write. And so when people say, oh, but come to this meeting at 10 o'clock, you have to say, no, I'm working. And if you treat yourself as a professional in that way, whatever hours or flexibility you have, I think that's key to advancing as a writer. You have to dedicate yourself to it.
Right. You make it be in the forefront.
Yes.
And
but like I said, you know, and especially people who are starting out who maybe want to explore, and especially if they're writing anything that's at all like a memoir or journaling or poetry, there's nothing wrong with treating it as a hobby, especially if you have a really busy life. Writing is such a fantastic skill, and I think so helpful to so many people, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there is a difference. You know, we've seen, I know both of us know people who have been working on the same book for 6, 7, 8 years. And
you just say, Can you get it done?
And it's as if you worked in a public relations firm and were given an assignment and said, well, this will take me 6 or 7 years to finish because I need to explore it and redo it over and over. And that's not the way business
That's not
works.
gonna work.
Yeah, you give yourself a time frame and you get it done and you do the best you can in that time frame.
I kind of agree with that. Matter of fact, it was kind of funny because when I was first doing this, of course, it was an avocation because I was learning the skill. And then I got a book out and got it published, printed and marketed and everything. And then I decided, well, I'm going to need a public accountant, a certified public accountant. And so I called my CPA friend and we got set up with an account. And then one day he called and got my wife, and she jokingly said to him when he asked, well, is he working this as a business? She says, oh, it's more like a hobby to him. And I said, you didn't tell him that, did you?
No.
Because right then I lost all tax benefits of being a business. I had a business license.
Yeah. Oh.
And you know, running as a sole proprietor in this, I have my own publishing company.
Yes.
So anyway, it was, she said, no, 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 he's really working this as a business. And I think people need to understand it. It is. Keeping the records, paying the sales tax on books that you sell personally.
I've known I've known of author friends who have gotten into trouble because they treated it like a hobby, didn't set themselves up as a business, and then sold enough books where suddenly they were in tax trouble, where they hadn't been keeping all those records.
And they have to keep the records. They have to keep an idea of just how much the Governor Jay wants every month or every year. And you know, it counts as income, and of course the write-offs.
Yes.
Because you know, I get a house that has an office attached to it, so I get to write off the office. Yes.
And
I get to write off part of my car because
the caveat isn't. It's not the amount of income that makes you professional. It's a mindset. You could be making $100 a year, and if you treat yourself as a professional, because maybe next year you'll be making more, you'll have more books out. It's not that. It's the mindset of I'm running this as a business.
Right. And it comes to a point, because when I talked with my CPA, it comes to a point of, are you making money? Are you having expenses? So you get to offset the amount of money you make with the amount of expenses that you have, and that determines what your income tax statement's going to be for the federal government. And yeah, keeping those records and treating it seriously. I admonish all of you new authors out there, just do that, okay? Keep in mind, you got to keep your records. Well, I want to thank you, Scotti, for sharing all you do in this literary world. We have a lot of fun at this.
And we have a lot of fun at our MWA meetings,
we
too,
do
and
have
I
fun
always appreciate when you're there.
Yeah, we always have fun there. It's, and I mean, it's like this last time when we had the judge and the interesting things he had to say. And we've had the FBI, and we've had coroners, and, you know.
Blood splatter experts, and yes, and all over dinner, too.
Yes, we get to eat dinner, too. Yeah,
and I always love when the speaker gets up and says, can I speak bluntly and tell you about the real things? We're like, yeah, go for it. We've heard it all.
Yeah, it'll be in the next book.
Yeah, we want the real stuff. We do.
Well, we do share this common interest in writing. And, of course, I would like to invite you to be a part of our Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers group. We're a very informal group, but we'll keep you on the list.
I would like that.
And as we continue to work together, at some point in the future, you may know some author that might want to come over here and you could do the interview.
Oh, I would like that.
Yes, we'll let you interview.
I get to be in charge.
Yes, kind of. Yeah, you get to make the script and send it out and get all those kinds of things. And it would be a lot of fun.
I think it would be, yes.
So we enjoy having you as a member, and we await finding out who you know that wants to come in here and be interviewed. And I would like to also thank all of our viewers for tuning in to the Bremerton Kitsap Access Television and viewing this Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers production. I also wish to thank the BCAT staff on cameras and in the director's chair. Our broadcasts are scheduled for Saturdays evenings at 6 p.m. on Wave Cable Channel 3 and Comcast Channel 12. You can also view a live stream on the BCAT website at bkat.org. Be sure that you're there at the 6 p.m. Pacific time zone, because that's when it's going to be broadcast. And keep in touch with our social media and author web pages to discover where you can meet us, local authors and our artists. And don't forget, Claw and many local authors, including Scotti and myself, will be at the Kitsap Mall in Silverdale on November 24th all day. Come and meet the people who write the books you cannot resist. We hope everyone has a pleasant evening and a productive and fascinating week. And until next Saturday, I am Peter Stockwell with Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers in conjunction with the Bremerton Kitsap Access Television. Good night.